Hello everyone. What I've got up on the bench here today is a Mac Pro 1,1, or the 2006 Mac Pro as it might be called. This is a machine I picked up for free out of the recycling bin. I've actually, over the past year, so over 2019, I had, I think, 6 or 7 of these 1,1s. One of them was a 3,1, I think, but yeah, all original Mac Pros, and I gotta be honest with you, there's not a whole lot I can do with them. But this one was pulled out of active service recently, so I'm thinking maybe we'll find something interesting out about it. I have no idea at this point, but I think in this video we'll take a look at the outside, take a look at the inside, see what it's got for hardware, and then if we can get the camera to focus, that would be great. We'll go ahead and install an operating system on it, or at least see what it's got running. I really don't know. It's a lot of unknowns at this point, but I think it will make for an interesting video taking a look at this Mac Pro 1,1. Fortunately, this Mac Pro seems to have been taken care of very well over the course of its life. Not a lot of scratching or scuffing. There's a little bit down here, but it may have been from me when I loaded it into the car amongst other items. So I don't know. I don't know, it just looks like a little scuffing, so that's good. It's a little bit dirty on the bottom. I'll give it a wipe down before I'm done. But yeah, front looks pretty good. The handles are in good shape. Everything seems to be pretty straight. The back handles, again, in good shape. The side panel fits on. It doesn't, there's a little bit of a gap there, so maybe the handles are very slightly bent, but really, it's an even gap, so I doubt that is the case. Taking a look at the back, we got our video card there. I would assume that's the original video card, or maybe it isn't. This I'm trying to figure out what this second slot cover is, if that is something that was installed after the fact or not. I don't know if it came... Again, don't know what specs this thing is, but according to the little sticker here, it's supposed to be a 2.66 quad-core model. It's got 4 sticks of 1 gig of RAM, so 4 gigs of RAM, an X1900 XT, a 250 gig, and a 500 gig hard drive. Be interesting to see if any of that is even still there. I guess we'll just have to find out. So this doesn't look like an X1900 XT. I thought that would have had a different vent to it, but again, we'll see as we get a little farther in. And not much to speak of there. However, when I got it home, it had a piece of tape over this Ethernet jack, and I don't know if that was just so people wouldn't get confused when plugging it in. I really don't know. There doesn't seem to be any physical damage to it. And now for the moment some of you have been probably waiting for. Let's take a look at what's inside. I just popped that already. And there it is. So right away I see we don't have an X1900 XT. It looks like we've got an 80... Oh, it's actually got a sticker on the top of it. That's interesting. You'll have to forgive my lack of good lighting here, but I've got a flashlight, so that's better than nothing, I suppose. You can see somebody made with a label maker a sticker that says 8800 GT. So it is indeed not the original graphics card, and I don't know if it was upgraded because the original one died or for some other reason, but yeah, this would have likely come out of something later, like a 3,1 or 2,1, something like that. According to the sticker on the back, this would have shipped with 2 drives, so these 2 are empty. This one's empty, and I knew it had a hard drive, but I don't know what it is. These things seem to be very hard to get out as they get older. So one of them was removed, the secondary, because these are still... Yeah, this says 2, 3, 4, so this is definitely 1. What do we got? This is a 250 gig hard drive, and it looks like the original one is it's got the Apple logo on there. Cool. Don't know why the other one would have been removed. If I had to take a guess, just based on how things usually are, an operating system would have been installed to the first disk, especially by factory, maybe somebody installed it to the second disk at some point. Who knows? I sure don't. And lastly, RAM. So the last three Mac Pro 1,1s that I got from the same location, they must have been in a slightly humid place, or maybe next to a door, because all of the, well, these on all of the RAM cards, whatever these are actually called, all have rust on them. And it doesn't seem to affect operation at all, but it's kind of an interesting thing that all of them were that way. Yeah, this one's the same way. So that last board, these look exactly the same. We got 2, 4, 6, 8, so it's got 16 gigs of RAM, and if I remember correctly, that is actually the maximum that these can take, because I don't think 4 gig sticks of DDR2 were very common. So yeah, that's cool. It's got maxed out RAM. Everything's hooked up. The monitor's hooked up, although it hasn't switched over yet to DVI power, and I've got keyboard, mouse right here. I've got the Mac Pro facing the wrong way, so the cables aren't coming out this side, they're actually coming out that side. In case I have to take off the side panel, it's easier to show what I'm doing. And as for a monitor, I'm trying out something a little different. Instead of my little LG monitor I usually use, this one is, it's one I fixed up and it works fine now, but I'm hoping the image quality will be a little better when recording with the camera. It won't have, you know, terrible patterns all over the screen. We'll see if that is a thing or not, but first, we need to power on the machine and see if it works at all. Well, I hear the hard drive spinning up, and it certainly was very loud. And it's outputting video. Hey, there it goes. It finally figured itself out. Took a good minute for that to happen. Hey, look at that. So it has an operating system, and it's still intact. Unfortunately, looks like it was joined to a domain, so I don't know if I'm going to be able to do anything about that. Let's see. Really? Is that going to work? That can't just work. Well, I can't imagine the password would just be password, so I honestly have no idea what to try. Now, I could, and I might, because I'm kind of interested to see what this computer may have been used for, and we still have the operating system intact. I might go ahead and boot off a USB installer and reset the password and see if I can get anywhere with that. Although, I seem to remember having trouble booting the 1,1 off of... See, okay, now I'm very confused. This must have an updated firmware on it, because by default, the 1,1 can only run Snow Leopard and Lion, I believe. And with some tweaks, it can run up to 10, was it 1011 LCAP, which I don't think this is, but maybe it is. Either way, I had a lot of trouble booting it off of a USB, so I think what we'll do instead is boot it into single user mode. So if you've never heard of single user mode before, you simply enter it by holding down Command S while the system boots, and it'll put you here. Well, that might be about as good as it gets. So what this allows us to do is have kind of a low-level interaction with the system, and by doing that we can remove the file called Apple Setup Done in, I think it's, I think I have to mount the system first. So, what is it? SBIN, mount, oh, it actually says it right there, I just realized that. I've always done this by memory. And then rm var db dot apple setup done. There it is. So what I'm doing here is I'm mounting the file system as a read-write file system so I can make changes to it. And this rm is remove. I'm removing the file .apple setup done. It's a hidden file. And this tells the system when it boots that it's been booted before and you've gone through the setup process. By removing this file, well, it doesn't think you've ever used the computer before despite having user accounts on it already. After we load up here, it should put us at the initial Apple setup prompt where we can create a password, put in our information, and then we'll be good to go. And the neat thing about this is that it creates an administrator account, so I can, if I don't want the current accounts that are on the system, if there are any, I can just remove those and continue using the computer as whatever account I set up. So that's kind of neat. And there it is, the Apple setup screen. Let's see if I can do some adjusting here. Hey, that looks better. This is... Oh, it's... I'm like, wow, there's a chunk of the screen missing, but it's only on my camera, but it's the little box that shows me where I'm focused. Got it. Alright, we're not going to connect to the internet. Don't want to transfer information. I read all of that, I assure you. We'll just make this... Sometimes owner is taken. I don't know if that's on older or newer systems. We'll do Mac owner. And I don't want a password. No, I have to put in a password. It's a good hint. Tells you exactly what the password is. And now... Sweet. Looks like we're done. And this should plop us right at a brand new desktop. Sweet, there it is. We are at the Mac desktop. Now this looks pretty good on camera, so I'm hoping this will work out a little better than my last monitor situation. I mean, let's go look at the specs of this thing. Yosemite's not one I've used very much, if at all. I pretty much went from Snow Leopard all the way to High Sierra without much of a jump in between. So, yeah. Yosemite, so 10, 10.5. Now, if I remember correctly, as I think I mentioned before, this Mac Pro only natively would support up to Lion, and with a firmware change, it can support up to 10.11 El Cap. So this is showing up. That is the correct display. Cool. Storage. Yep, as I expected, we've got a 250 gig SATA disk. It's full of applications. Might have to go poke around with what those applications are. And there are all 8 sticks of memory. Neat. I won't be using any of this software. This is going to get wiped pretty soon. But it's interesting to see what used to be on here. So a lot of, well, not a lot of, just a couple of Adobe things here. Looks like recording software. GarageBand, iMovie. It's probably enrolled in SCCM or Monkey, whatever the Mac version of SCCM is. Has both versions of MATLAB. So 2016 is the most recent version. Looks like 2017 is the most recent version of PowerPoint that I see. I'm trying to figure out when this was maybe last used. Got Xcode and Zotero. Kind of interested to see what that Zotero program is. Oh, so it looks like some kind of research tool to let you collect. It says collect your research sources. Alright, well, not something I'm interested in the slightest. But there we go. There's the Mac Pro 1,1, the initial boot up and just general overview of it. I need to find out what I want to do with this system now, because we know it works, and it's already got the firmware modification. With that said, it's a Mac Pro 1,1. It's a bit of an older machine, and it definitely can't run the latest operating system, Catalina, at the time of recording this video. It can run 10.11, that's a bit outdated, and I've had a lot of trouble installing Windows on these unless I have a pre-installed copy of Windows. So I don't really know. How about you guys in the comments? Let me know what you want to see, and I'll see what I can do. If you're watching this video way in the future, give your comments anyways, but don't expect me to make a video right away until I get my next one. I really don't plan on keeping this system. I haven't kept the last 6 of them that I've owned just because I don't know what I can do with them. And I have other computers around here that are much more powerful and most certainly more energy efficient than an original Mac Pro. So yeah, don't know what to do with it, but we'll see what we can do. I have tons of SSDs, as you guys probably know, though maybe that's something we could do with it. Anyway, thank you all for watching. Hope you enjoyed, and we'll see you in the next video.